Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dal. You might have noticed that during the patch 9.2 announcement, which was very exciting, they talked about tier sets, Zerath Mortis, as well as PvE features like a brand new raid and Tezavesh dungeon, but they didn't really say anything about PvP, or any of the PvP changes or updates you may be able to get. Well, the silence has finally been broken. First update for patch 9.2 for PvP updates has finally been released. However, the contents of these PvP updates isn't quite yet PvP changes. We'll know more about what PvP adjustments and tunings Blizzard is planning when the 9.2 PTR is finally playable. But they did reveal that they want to add 2 new arenas, as well as a functional solo queue system, which would allow players to instantly queue into arenas and earn rating without having to go through LFG queues, which is something that many players have asked them to add. But before we dive into these updates, most of you guys watching these videos are not subscribed, and the more I ask you, the more of you subscribe, so let's keep it going. If you enjoyed the updates for 9.2 or any of the future WoW updates, subscribe to the channel as well as hit the bell in order to get the latest updates. First of all, I want to take a look at the post that highlights 2 new arenas coming in patch 9.2. The first arena is Maldraxxus Coliseum. This one seems like a bog standard arena with 3 line-of-sight pillars, with a very much a Maldraxxian look to it. I love how it's in the middle of Theater of Pain, which is where when you first zone into Shadowlands and you're fighting for glory in this pit, you'd now get to compete in an arena inside of the pit. This arena also does have this toxic green slime around it. I'm pretty sure it's just their cosmetic just to look cool, but I wonder what if Blizzard decided that they wanted to add like actual green toxic slime that you can knock enemies into, and the longer they stay inside, the more they decay with their health. Definitely would be an interesting feature, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be a very simple arena with invisible walls and there's no acid pools to burn you away. The Enigma arena is the Zerath Mortis arena. Off the bat, it looks really odd. It comes natively with no pillars for line of sight, and it looks pretty cramped and pretty small, which means you might have some very close quarter action. Reading the post, it does mention that there is a button in the middle of the arena which will allow the floor to raise and fall and create line of sight. We don't know if they will make walls or maybe just pillars on your end, but there is a button in the middle, and it says in the post that it's accessible by both teams. So I imagine the enemy team could raise some pillars to try to heal back up, and you could lower them down to catch them off guard. Imagine an arena that's never static, that it changes all the time, and you can utilize it in strategic ways in order to overpower your enemy. I feel like this one is going to be like pickles. People are either going to love them or people are either going to hate them. This arena is the most creative one out of all of the ones we've had so far, and I cannot wait to test it out in patch 9.2, but I want to hear in the comments what do you guys think about these new arenas being added. Next, let's talk about the new solo queue mode being added for patch 9.2. The devs mentioned they want to add solo queue as a brawl to test it out and potentially roll it out as a real system for us to play regularly like we do with arenas and battlegrounds in the future WoW updates. This post is very detailed, so in this video I'll try to break down exactly everything that it talks about when it comes to their vision of a solo queue experience. For many, when you say the word solo queue or solo queue arenas, you imagine it would be something like opening the window and queuing for battlegrounds, but instead of queuing for BGs, which you queue with random players, you would queue for arenas with random players, very similar to a skirmish, except it's a skirmish that allows you to get random teammates and you get rating from it, whether it's a 2v2 or a 3v3. The biggest hopes for a solo queue system is to remove LFG out of that player interaction in finding teammates, just being able to queue up randomly instead of signing up for multiple arena teams and getting spam declined left and right. Or if you're looking for players with a similar experience than you and someone lies about it, and then you queue in the arena and you can tell they definitely don't have that experience, it creates a very awkward social situation. So solo queue was hoping to alleviate that completely, but let's take a look at Blizzard's solo shuffle as they name it. The reason they call it solo shuffle is it's actually not a single arena that you just play through once. It's actually 6 rounds of arenas where players are shuffled around, and the players that perform the best actually gain the most amount of rating. So they will let 2 healers and 4 DPS queue the arena, and every single round the teams get shuffled, so you're not always playing with the same class every time you queue your arena. The reason they're going about it this way, where they're mixing players around, is because of compositions, and compositions are extremely powerful when trying to create a team within arena. Certain classes are just super synergetic. Rogues and mages both share the fact that they have disgustingly good crowd control, and they can just put your healer in the CC chain for hours, while a rogue and a warrior don't synergize nearly as well. Both of them stun, both of them do damage, but they don't have the CC to synergize, and that's the reason why they're shuffling them around. So you'll have players with good matchups and you'll have players with bad matchups, but how those players do in those matchups, how well do they play, how well can they play their class in this random composition is going to be how they will be ranked on how well they do. At least as the short version is definitely worth reading the article for a full picture. They even are thinking about changing some of the different rules for this arenas. Unlike regular arena, the first team to kill an opponent will immediately win the round. Mana regeneration, they're thinking of restricting it, so it might work differently where healers can't drink for mana. If a player leaves for any reason, which is expected, then the match is resolved as if that player lost every round. It is going to be something for them to consider because 6 matches back to back is very different than just a single arena or a single battleground. You have to commit towards these matches over and over to test your playstyle and your metal against the enemy team. However, with the mana regeneration being capped for healers, there's a good chance these games are going to end very quickly, and we are already pretty used to the fast meta of PvP that is Shadowlands. And it sounds to me that if the player leaves the match, they will be counted as the one that lost every round, but it doesn't say that for every other player. I wonder if that means that if, let's say, you queue the shuffle and you don't win all of your games, but you don't lose every one of them either, if you could still get rating for doing somewhat well or doing averagely well. Where a player that cannot adapt to the different compositions is probably going to lose rating or gain very little in comparison. And a player that performs well and is able to synergize and communicate with their team and make good calls and judgments will be the one to lead the charge in the points that they get. Say anything you want to, but it sounds like from the blue post, they really thought through about how to make this all about skill rather than random matchmaking and getting lucky with the team composition. The reason they decided to do 6 rounds of traditional 3v3s is to make sure that every player is tested in every scenario and potentially points a divot out to the player that can adapt the best. To me, this sounds like this wasn't a set of rules that was slapped together in 10 minutes. It seems like somebody really thought through about how to make this as fair of a challenge as possible and then give players the points they deserve for how well they perform. It does mean that this is going to be a slightly longer format with 6 back-to-back arenas, but the limited mana for healers might mean that the teams have to play aggressive, which gives them a very much old-school view of the original arenas when they were first added in World of Warcraft. It wasn't about controlling the enemy for hours and hours on end and trying to whittle them out to make sure that you win the mana game in the high dampening, but rather you run in and you brawl it out, and whoever is last man standing wins for their team. I think this is a fantastic step forward. Brawls is a perfect way to put up some experimental content without having to commit as to adding it as part of skirmishes, arenas, and battlegrounds, but just something to throw out, something for fun. If players dislike it, it's fine, it's on a rotation that happens once in a while. If players love it, make it part of the end stay content. Like the Arathi Blizzard Brawl, where Arathi Basin is engulfed in a snowstorm, even limiting your player visibility. So when you're playing defense for a flag, you have no idea which angle enemies may come from or just how many, which makes it a very tense and a fun PvP experience. Or Deep 6, which takes the 10v10 Battlegrounds format and turns it into a 6v6, where the smaller player pool numbers actually make the BGs more tense, because every single move you make and every kill you snipe can actually win the BG for your team, but also every mistake is even more crucial and it makes it way more competitive. All this new content and all these brawls are fun, but I'm hoping this will also come together with some much needed class changes. The fact that they're adding new content for us to play with for PvP is awesome, but it should come with PvP changes because experiencing this new content with classes that feel great to play in PvP is very important to many players. So hopefully we'll see some class updates for PvP very soon, about the time 9.2 PTR rolls out. But I don't want to keep you guys for too long. This video is long enough already. Let me know what you think about the update. Let me know what you think about the arenas as well as the brawl, and do you think it's going to be successful? If you guys enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments your thoughts. Or if you want to reach me directly, link towards the channel Discord is in the description. You guys should consider joining and become part of the community. That's probably the best place to reach me. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see all of you in the next one.